The Japanese film industry is truly a jackpot for horror-loving fans. Undoubtedly, the Japanese filmmakers have perfected the art of showcasing fear, terrifying the audience with the stories of hostile spirits, backfiring curses, and psycho killers. These films are still alive even after 2 decades because the sense of terror and atmosphere they create stays with you even after you finish watching. These movies were an absolute hit among global audiences, which led to a number of remakes for English-speaking audiences. However, attempts to create original-like magic fall short most of the time. For those who love the dark and the undead, here's a list of 20 such horrific masterpieces from Japanese cinema to make your Christmas scarier. I mean, merrier. So, dim the lights, jump in your bed, and let's get started. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. The Ringu, 1998. After her niece and 3 of her buddies are discovered dead after they watched a rumored cursed videotape, a reporter goes on to investigate along with her ex-husband. Their investigation takes them back to the very spot where Denise and her friends watched the tape. Unfortunately, they too watch the unlabeled tape and receive a phone call predicting their death within 7 days. Suddenly, their investigation becomes a race against time to uncover the curse's mystery. They reach a remote island that might be the source of the video's origins. Finally, solving the murder mystery of a psychic that happened 30 years ago could possibly hold the answer to breaking the spell. Ringu is definitely a movie of epic status and the finest in the Japanese horror genre, even though it was released 2 decades ago. The movie has a psychological impact on the viewers, leaving them haunted with a sense of unease. Director Hideo Nakata has done a brilliant job of making Ringu feel super scary. The sudden jumps in the movie surely catch you off guard, and the loud, screechy sounds will stay with you for a while. Uzumaki, 2000. In a remote Japanese village, Kiri very often sees her boyfriend's dad silently filming a snail with his undivided attention. He is so engrossed that he barely notices her presence. Slowly, with each passing day, his obsession with snails is growing until it reaches a point of no return. Soon, he is almost hypnotically attracted to any spiral structures that he comes across. This madness finally ends with his death in a washing machine where he is turned into a spiral. Soon enough, others in the town are getting obsessed with various forms of spirals around them. One of the young residents of the town is slowly mutating into a snail, while another one's hair is transforming similar to Medusa's. And before anyone can even figure out what's happening, the entire town is possessed by spirals. Who else but a Japanese mind could come up with such a horrifying tale? Even with one of the most bizarre stories ever, Uzumaki successfully creates an interesting piece of horror cinema that will surely make you feel uneasy. It was Higuchi's first time directing a film, and I must say he did a fine job turning a manga into a live-action movie. Audition, 1999. The story is about a lonely Japanese widower. As if life wasn't already difficult for him, it was time for his son to move out and start a life of his own. He decides to open up about his loneliness to a close friend who also happens to be a film producer. His friend's creative brain gets to work and pops up with an idea that might help the widower meet someone new. They set up a fake movie audition for potential partners. Soon, the widower gets interested in one particular candidate and is almost instantly in love. But first impressions can be deceiving, especially for an aspiring actress. The movie is from one of the most brilliant filmmakers in history. We're talking about Takashi Miike, who has over 100 projects under his belt since he began his career in 1991. From a simple emotional battle, the movie turns into a psychological horror with scenes that will shock your brain into numbness. Soon, you realize that the movie is exploring the darkest shade of obsession in the cruelest way possible. Noroi, The Curse, 2005. Masafumi is one of those people who lives for the thrill. He's got his hands all over the paranormal stuff. He is a paranormal investigator who also records everything on camera, Conjuring style. Junko contacts Masafumi for a terrifying gig. Masafumi arrives at her place in no time and starts setting up his stuff. Soon, he starts his investigation, but is chased out of the house and has no choice but to wrap up and leave. However, he is a true horror enthusiast and is not giving up just just yet. Masafumi uncovers a chilling truth. Junko turns out to be the granddaughter of a highly respected exorcist. Additionally, he finds out that an ancient demon, Kagutaba, is on the loose, attacking innocent people and possessing them. Masafumi gears up and teams up with a powerful psychic and an actress to deal with the situation at hand. Noroi: The Curse is one of the best movies for those who love found footage style. This horror film doesn't rely on stupid jump scares to frighten you. In the beginning, scenes may seem random, but as you continue watching, you realize everything is connected. What stands out the most is its ability to give you a sense of unease. It smoothly transitions from a seemingly normal scene to one that leaves you utterly terrified in just a couple of seconds. Perfect Blue, 1997. In the movie, Mima Kirigoe makes a career change from a pop singer to an actress. She faces a series of bizarre events after announcing her decision. A mysterious website called Mima's Room begins detailing her life with insane accuracy. She takes on a challenging role as an actress involving a rape scene, and the lines between reality and fiction start to blur. Mima becomes a suspect in murders, and her stalker attacks her, displaying a disturbing obsession. The true culprit turns out to be her manager, who wants to maintain her image. In a final confrontation, Mima escapes and the manager's delusions lead to a tragic accident. This anime movie has a super creepy vibe that stays with you throughout. The theme of lost identity is prominent in the movie, with Mima struggling to distinguish between what's real and what's an illusion. Your anxious emotions draws you in and makes you wonder the same questions about yourself. It perfectly explores and displays the cost of being famous. I love the realistic camera angles, especially the one that zooms out of Mima's apartment, making the city skyline look super real. Cairo, 2001. This one explores the story of ghosts infiltrating the physical world using the internet. Michi Kudo stumbles upon bizarre events after the death of her colleague Taguchi. As a college kid, Ryusuke is facing particularly disturbing images on the internet. He soon realizes that the souls of the dead are invading the physical realm. As the city is engulfed in mayhem, Michi and Ryusuke cross paths with each other while ghostly spirits consume the rest of the city. The film concludes with Michi finding comfort in loneliness on a ship, her only companion being the ghost of Ryusuke. It symbolizes the haunting aftermath of a world drowned in ghost invasions. This movie is genuinely one of the creepiest and most disturbing films I've watched in a long time. Every aspect of the story is designed to slowly send shivers up and down your spine. Instead of relying on sudden shocks, it builds a continuous sense of horror and unease. I found myself disliking how the movie made you feel, yet I couldn't tear myself away from watching it. This film is so non-American in its pace and core, which is what might turn off some viewers, but that's what I loved about it. Tetsuo the Iron Man, 1989. The story begins with a man trying to insert some sort of metal in a self-inflicted wound. Clearly, something didn't go as planned and he started running for his life. He soon becomes a poor victim of a hit-and-run accident. The next day, the driver of the car experiences metallic changes in his body. He notices a metal thorn poking out of his chin while shaving. He soon gains telepathic powers too. The victim of the car accident and the guy who hit him both merge into a single monstrous entity, with the aim of transforming the world into a metal menace. What sets it apart is its focus on the victim turning completely inorganic. With unsettling scenes of metal merging with flesh and uncomfortable psychosexual tones, this film is sure to leave any horror fan sleepless. Tetsuo is like the visual representation of the feeling of biting aluminum foil or hearing a chalkboard scratch. It's wild and bizarre, with mind-boggling events that might become overwhelming. The black and white visuals create a super creepy atmosphere, and the dark tones and shadows are well used. Thematic performances, brilliant camera angles, and intense hardcore soundtrack simplify the insanity. Kudos to the design team for their detailed work that adds to the overall weirdness. Surprisingly, there's even a love story woven into this madness. To put it simply, it's different, so just watch it. Maribo, 2004. Maribo is about a freelance cameraman, Takuyoshi Masuoka. He becomes completely upset after a horrible encounter with a man who commits suicide by stabbing his own eye. Soon, he starts exploring underground tunnels and unknown spaces. Masuoka comes across weird humanoid creatures and finds a girl named F. She is not a regular girl. F survives only on blood, and shockingly, Masuoka keeps her and treats her as a pet. He becomes so addicted to the girl that he even starts murdering strangers to beat her. In a turn of events, Masuoka Masuoka becomes homeless and starts to introspect. Soon, F takes him back into the underworld. This movie is an amazing display of the worsening mental conditions of someone due to loneliness and obsession with fear. The creatures that he finds beneath the city streets are pretty similar to those in H.P. Lovecraft's The Mountain of Madness. The movie makes use of grainy footage to create a creepy, voyeuristic feel, showing violent events in a dark city. Directed by Takashi Shimizu, known for Ju-on the Grudge, it promises to be a terrifying experience. Ju-on the Grudge 2002. One day, Rika Nishina, a volunteer at the social welfare center, is asked to care for Sachi at the Tokunaga residence. Her colleague would typically send Takahashi, but she is unreachable. Finding the door strangely unlocked, Rika enters the house and discovers Sachi in a room. While cleaning, she comes across a thrown-away family photo with the mother missing. There's no sign of Katsuya, Sachi's son, or his wife Kazumi. However, Rika does find a child named Toshio locked in a closet upstairs. It appears that Rika is now under the influence of curse and being pursued by vengeful spirits. Kayako, a woman who was brutally killed at the hands of her husband and her son Toshio. Anyone who stays in the house or visits the haunted house meets a dark fate, either being killed or vanishing mysteriously. How can we finish the list of the scariest J movies without mentioning Ju-on? The film is unsettling due to its unpredictable story. This film is pure terror. Ju-on the Grudge combines real and paranormal horrors with the awful crimes, serving as a trigger for haunting events. The growing sense of anxiety in the movie stays with you long after watching. House, 1977. In Tokyo, a girl named Gorgeous plans a summer vacation with her father. However, he surprises her by announcing his marriage to Ryoko. Upset, Gorgeous writes to her aunt, who invites her and 6 friends for a visit. Upon arrival, they witness supernatural traps, with one friend disappearing and another encountering a flying, severed head. The group faces various attacks and possessions, uncovering the dark history of the aunt. As the remaining friends try to survive, Gorgeous eventually turns hostile, leading to a series of unreal and terrifying events, including sacrifices and supernatural encounters, ultimately ending with a deadly confrontation with Ryoko. In Nobuhiko Obayashi's dark fairy tale, starting with a fantasy-like vibe, the story takes an unexpectedly ugly and uncanny turn that can't be explained easily. This movie is packed with insane scenes, including the famous one where a girl is eaten alive by a piano. It stands out as one of the most horrifically innovative films. You have to see it to believe it. One Missed Call, 2003. Yumi attempts to comfort her friend Yoko, who receives an unsettling voicemail from her future self screaming while talking to Yumi. The creepy message comes true a few days later, resulting in Yoko's death. As Yumi's friend experiences similar voicemails and videos predicting their demise, an evil spirit seeking revenge emerges as the origin of these disturbing messages and murders. In a gripping revelation, Yumi unravels this strange connection, tying all the messages to herself. Despite the usual lower budgets of J movies compared to Hollywood, One Missed Call totally stands out. Director Miike successfully discards his fondness for the twisted and perverted, choosing a more restrained approach. The film impressively includes symbolism and graphic analogy in its storytelling. Shocking and gory elements are tactfully utilized, enhancing the movie rather than reducing it to a cheesy flick. Shocking elements are thoughtfully used to improve the experience, avoiding the trap of becoming a cheesy film. Cure, 1997. Detective Kenichi Takabe investigates a series of horrifying murders with a common pattern: a large X carved into each victim's chest or neck. The culprits, who appear to be unrelated, confess easily, but they're unable to reveal clear motives. Takabe's personal life is exhausted by his wife, Yumi, with fits of schizophrenia. He collaborates with forensic psychologist Sakuma. Takabe traces the murders to a man named Mamiya, showing extreme short-term memory loss. Believing Mamiya is skilled in hypnosis, Takabe accuses him of inciting murder. A videotape links Mamiya to a past mesmerist named Sujiro Bakuro. After Mamiya's escape and confrontation, he draws an X and dies. Takabe discovers a recording suggesting a hypnotic influence. The film concludes ambiguously, hinting at Takabe's newfound power as he faces a threatening waitress. The Cure is more of a psychological thriller than a horror. It is a fantastic film that skillfully frightens the audience. This was a hit in Japan as well as globally, predicting the rise of J-horror. It has a super creepy vibe in a really dark tone. Cure creates an experience that lingers with viewers long after the movie ends, just like a lot of others on this list. Horrors of Malformed Men, 1969. The story goes something like this. Hirosuke, a medical student with a hazy past, escapes from an asylum and is wrongfully accused of killing a circus girl. He adopts the identity of Genzaburo Komoda, a recently diseased man who looks like him. Pretending to be resurrected, Hirosuke fools everyone, including Komoda's widow and mistress. Exploring Komoda's past, he visits an island and unravels the sinister plans of Jogoro, Genzaburo's father, who aims to transform people into freaks. Along the way, Hirosuke discovers shocking truths about his own identity. The Horrors of Malformed Man is an unreal and taboo-breaking horror film. It was truly ahead of its time with its nightmarish way of exploring, especially when Genzaburo discovers a delusional scientist on an island deforming people to create his ideal community. While the movie has a slightly difficult-to-understand story, it becomes clearer halfway through. It depends heavily on its crazy jump-scare visuals, thanks to amazing camera work, making it kind of an artistic film, primarily pleasing horror fans who like nothing but dark and bizarre visuals. Surprisingly, the movie shows good acting rather than the theatrical performances often seen in Japanese films. The actors deliver performances that stand out, and we're talking about 1969. Darkwater, 2002. In Darkwater, Yoshimi Matsubara, amid a divorce, struggles with life changes. She rents a crumbling apartment and enrolls her daughter Ikuko in a nearby school. She also started working as a proofreader. The leaking ceiling leads to strange occurrences, including the repeated appearance of a red bag and the glimpses of a mysterious long-haired girl, Mitsuko Kawai. Yoshimi finds out that Mitsuko, who was once living above her, went missing a year ago. The haunting intensifies as Yoshimi finds Ikuko in an upstairs flooded unit. Yoshimi learns Mitsuko drowned in the water tank, and Mitsuko's ghost attempts to harm Ikuko. Yoshimi sacrifices herself to calm Mitsuko's spirit. A decade later, Ikuko, now all grown up and in high school, sees Yoshimi and Mitsuko's ghost, suggesting a lasting connection. Hideo Nakata brilliantly mixes drama and horror in this adaptation of Koji Suzuki's short story, Floating Water. This movie delivers fear without unnecessary distractions or sudden shocks. It's the most suspenseful film I've seen since Ringu, and in my opinion, even better. It builds tension steadily, creating chills like waves in calm water. The leading actress has done a fabulous job, especially in the elevator scene, a moment I won't spoil. While the conclusion may be somewhat predictable, it remains satisfying. This one is a must-watch if you appreciate stories of quiet, unsettling dread. Haunted School, 1995. A group of children accidentally break a small statue at an elementary school. Little did they know their mistake had unleashed supernatural events. Mika Shinoda, a second grader, follows a bouncing ball into an abandoned wing where she's lifted by an unseen force. Soon, fifth graders Kensuke Nakamura, Shota Segawa, and others gets trapped in the abandoned wing. They encounter mysterious spirits, including a grinning one. Kazuo senses danger, and Kensuke's mother, Yumiko, joins the rescue. Supernatural occurrences intensify, involving a giant, a custodian named Kumahige, and various other spirits. The broken sacred object is revealed, and the group faces challenges to repair it. Ultimately, they find themselves in the school swimming pool, discovering the truth about Kaori's death. This film stands out for its creativity, giving us unexpected and bizarre scenes, from a giant face behind a door to a ghostly orchestra, stop-motion hands, reanimated dissected frogs, living anatomy dolls with real guts, a spider janitor transforming into a demon, and a captivating floating pink gremlin. Each scene surprises with its inventiveness. The atmosphere is a good mix of spooky and mischievous. It's the feeling of a kid's adventure with bizarre monsters attempting to freak you out. Imagine the Goonies mixed with the Evil Dead. That's what The Haunted School is. Sweet Home, 1989. A film crew enters Ichiro Mamiya's abandoned villa to restore paintings and film a documentary. They encounter a vengeful ghost, Lady Mamiya, who is Ichiro's wife. She possesses an art restorer, Asuka. Discovering a makeshift grave, they learn of the tragic deaths of Ichiro and Lady Mamiya's son. Seeking revenge, Lady Mamiya's ghost targets intruders. Kazuo, Emi, and Akiko survive by reuniting Lady Mamiya with her son, bringing them peace. As they leave the mansion, it collapses behind them. Sweet Home was released with a Capcom game of the same name. It is considered the genesis of survival horror roleplay games like Resident Evil. The film follows in the footsteps of The Haunting, featuring impressive practical effects by makeup artist Dick Smith from The Exorcist. Sweet Home draws clear inspiration from Tobe Hooper's Poltergeist and Robert Wise's The Haunting. The amazing special effects by Dick Smith show impressively gruesome scenes, including mutilated and melting faces. The fast-paced action, well-written script, and engaging characters add to the overall vibe of the movie. Bilocation 2013. Bilocation explores the creepy occurrence where a person appears in two places at once. It's a concept reported globally in history. The film delves into the unsettling event of encountering a double possessing superior skills and knowledge. As the doppelganger attempts to disrupt the lead character's life, the story becomes a psychological nightmare. The story challenges the main character to face not only a threat to their identity, but also to their existence. This psychological thriller uniquely explores the consequences and challenges of having an alter ego, providing an exceptional experience in the genre. While initially it looks like a typical J-horror, Bilocation surprises with its depth and uniqueness. It shares a concept with other films but stands out with its distinct approach, akin to Jake Gyllenhaal's Enemy. The movie unfolds its ambitious twist in the final third. It engages your mind and reshapes your POV based on earlier events. The film relies on a strong atmosphere and traditional Japanese horror style, which is effective but sometimes leads to facing problems. However, the film score isn't higher, but a rewatch would uncover additional nuances that might enhance the overall rating. The Demon, 1979. 14-year-old Emily Parker is kidnapped and murdered by a maniac with razor blade gloves. The killer moves to a hotel and Emily's parents enlist psychic detective Colonel Bill Carson for help. Simultaneously, the maniac fixates on Mary Jones, a preschool teacher, leading to a tense stalking situation. As Joe, Mary's cousin, gets involved with a playboy, Mary feels increasingly threatened. The maniac's hideout is discovered and a deadly confrontation unfolds when Emily's father seeks revenge. Emily's remains are found, and Carson warns of a close demonic threat. The film climaxes with a terrifying showdown between Mary and the maniac, resulting in his demise. The Demon is a lesser-known gem, mixing Ingmar Bergman's style with a classic Japanese narrative. The movie explores the complexities of family life, with the main character open to different interpretations. The characters in the movie are not easy to understand, and the scenes of confused children are portrayed brilliantly. Helter Skelter 2012. Helter Skelter is about Liliko, who is a famous model in Japan. Her journey to stardom comes with a high price that affects her both physically and mentally. This is a visually stunning movie directed by Mika Ninagawa. It was adapted from a 2004 manga. It explores the darker aspects of the beauty and entertainment industries. Liliko experiences the challenges of fame, jumping between a manipulative seductress and a tantrum-prone individual, simply showing the impact of celebrity on one's identity. The movie captures the audience with its vibrant visuals and multicolored set designs, which are almost psychedelic. This offers a visually rich experience for horror fans. Helter Skelter goes beyond its glamorous visuals to tackle important issues like the growing problem of eating disorders in Japan and the harmful effects of unrealistic beauty standards. Liliko's story involves self-mutilation as a drastic measure to break free from society's expectations. It offers a touching indicator of the harsh realities of the beauty industry. The film at times prioritizes style over substance and misses some chances for body horror. Still, it captures moments within Liliko's world, making it a compelling exploration of the pursuit of perfection, blending beauty, horror, and societal critique in an impactful narrative. Kwaidan, 1965. Masaki Kobayashi's Kwaidan is a 3-hour anthology film based on Japanese folktales about ghosts and the supernatural, adapted from Lafcadio Hearn's writings. The 4 stories, The Black Hair, The Woman of the Snow, Hoichi the Airless, and In a Cup of Tea, weave a creepy and chilling narrative with elements of horror and folklore. The movie moves carefully, setting a ghostly and mysterious vibe. Let me quickly tell you what each anthology has to offer. In The Black Hair, a samurai abandons his family for wealth, only to want back his old life. The Woman of the Snow tells the story of a woodcutter spared by a spirit bound by a promise of silence. Hoichi the Earless follows a blind musician haunted by a ghostly samurai, and the final tale, In a Cup of Tea, revolves around a lord's attendant seeing a mysterious face in his tea. Kwaidan's visuals are stunning, presenting the tales with artistic beauty. Despite its length, the film's storytelling and exquisite visuals make it worthwhile. The film's intentional distance enhances its supernatural themes, improving the otherworldly nature of the stories. Whether watched in one sitting or as individual stories, Kwaidan's unique storytelling makes it a cinematic gem. Marvelous Verdict. We've traveled through various chilling Japanese horror tales, from supernatural entities to psychological thrillers. This list reveals the genre's diversity. These films not only scare but also show us aspects of Japanese culture, folklore, and societal fears. The impeccable craftsmanship from designs to storytelling showcases Japanese filmmakers' mastery in creating chilling narratives. Many films have become classics, influencing global filmmakers. While personal favorites may differ, they spark discussions on fear and its nature. nature. Our exploration only touches Japanese horror surface. I encourage you fellas to dive deeper into the J-movies to find out yourself. In conclusion, these films marvelously tap into universal fears, crossing cultural boundaries to evoke fear in audiences worldwide. If you like our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.